Hi, this is Eddie. I am a therapist who specializes in trauma, anxiety, and mom stress, and I am posting today's video on the Daily Stoic. If you haven't checked out some of my other videos, I'm going to be going through this book, The Daily Stoic by Ryan Holiday. If you haven't picked it up, I highly recommend that you do so. I'm just going to be sharing some entries throughout the year and really just trying to offer some hope and inspiration and just some insight, maybe my interpretation, and trying to encourage you to implement some of the ideas that are presented in here. So let's get started on today's entry, which is on January 5th. Now, I'm reading the entry, but that doesn't mean that it's necessarily going to get posted on January 5th, but I'm just using that as a marker, so if you do have the book, you can look for that entry. But I think this was a great entry on January 5th, which is clarify your intentions. Quote, let all your efforts be directed to something. Let it keep that end in view. It's not activity that disturbs people, but false conceptions of things that drive them mad. End quote. Seneca on Tranquility of Mind. Law 29 of the 48 Laws of Power is, plan all the way to the end. Robert Greene writes, by planning to the end, you will not be overwhelmed by circumstances and you will know when to stop. Gently guide fortune and help determine the future by thinking far ahead. The second habit in the 7 habits of highly effective people is, begin with an end in mind. Having an end in mind is no guarantee that you'll reach it. No Stoic would tolerate that assumption. But not having an end in mind is a guarantee you won't. To the Stoics, oasis, false conceptions, are responsible not just for disturbances in the soul, but for chaotic and dysfunctional lives and operations. When your efforts are not directed at a cause or a purpose, how will you know what to do day in and day out? How will you know what to say no to and what to say yes to? How will you know when you've had enough, when you've reached your goal, when you've gotten off track, if you've never defined what those things are? The answer is that you cannot. And so you are driven into failure, or worse, into madness by the oblivion of directionlessness. I thought this was a great passage. Now, as a mindfulness-based therapist, we often focus on being in the present moment and just focusing on like the day-to-day, moment-to-moment awareness. However, being that it's January, the reality is that we all are pursuing something, right? We all are seeking to improve ourselves or improve our lives in some way. But in this case, you're being asked to think about, well, what is the end result? Where do you want to be at the end of all of this, of the goals and the resolutions, right? And for me, when I think about goals, I look at it more as intentions, right? So personally, for example, I could say to myself, oh, I'm going to put $20,000 away in savings, or I don't even like that, but I want to be a successful private practice owner. That's my goal. That's the end result, right? But when I think about, well, what does that look like? Could I say, oh, I have $10,000 in savings, or I made $100,000 this year, or whatever? Not really. Really, for me, the goal is being a successful private practice owner means that I, one, work with clients that I love working with. 2, I have the flexibility in my schedule that if I get a call from daycare that my kid is sick, that I can go get him. Or, if there's going to be a field trip, that I have the flexibility in my schedule to, go with him on the field trip. It means that if I want to go on vacation for 2 weeks, that I have money put aside that I could still pay my mortgage. It means that I would have money that, God forbid, my hot water heater broke and I had to call someone and pay the emergency fee, that I would have that money put aside to pay that. It would mean that if I got sick and I couldn't work that day, that again, I have money put aside that I could still pay my bills and put food on the table. So, it's about asking yourself, like, what does success really mean? Asking yourself what the end goal is, and then telling yourself, well, what can I do day to day in the present moment to achieve that goal? And then when you reflect back on your day, you can say to yourself, what did I do today to reach that end goal, right? Like when I'm choosing to do things in the present moment, I have to ask myself, pause and ask myself, is this going to help me get to the end goal? And oftentimes, maybe it won't, but it's about being able to say to yourself, there were like 2 or 3 days in a row where I did not work on whatever it was, my successful private practice agenda. And so, like, if I keep veering off that path, like by the end of the year, like I won't get there. Or it means, oh, okay, you know what, I kind of veered off path, and I have to focus, the next few days on this and be very mindful about focusing those goals on doing my actions and activities to help me get to the end goal. So it's a great, to me, guideline for thinking about what is the end, what does the end look like. And it's more than just a number in a bank account, or it's just more than just saying I want to be a successful private practice owner. It's about, what are you gaining, what is the reason, why is this your goal, who will you be, what will you get at the end of this journey, right? So you keep yourself grounded in the mission, you keep yourself grounded in, what are my daily tasks, how am I feeling about it in the moment, and it gives you just clarity day to day on your goals and who you want to be, and what you're striving for. So as we are in the beginning of the year, again, this was an early entry, January 5th entry, but I don't know when this will be posted, but obviously we'll be in January. But I put this out here to recommend to you, like, don't just think about the goal, just don't think about the resolution, think about the process, think about who you want to be at the end of it. Think about what are the daily actions. And if you're persistent, if you're consistent, if you're patient, you can tell yourself, like, after 365 days, like, I got close to that. I got there. Or wow, like, look at what I've accomplished. Like, look at what I was able to achieve, in terms of quality of life and who I have become. So this, again, great book. If you haven't read it, I have no affiliation with them. I just discovered this recently, the Stoic movement, and I think it is great. So highly recommend it. Pick it up, and I will see you in the next video. Take care. Bye.